Hello and welcome, Anne-Marie.
Hello, thank you, Marilyn. Thank you for inviting me today. It's a real honor. So I'm looking forward to the conversation.
So am I. So first of all, for people who haven't met you before, do you just want to say about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm Anne-Marie Weeks and I'm a BioWell practitioner. And I've been a practitioner for about 11 years now. And I use it with my energy practice, which is crystal therapy, crystal healings. I have a very special relationship with them. And I've also worked with the BioWell within my boutique store that I used to own. And so, yeah, it's been quite a journey. But my real specialism is in interiors and architecture. And actually, that's what got me really interested in the BioWell. It kickstarted the journey. Yeah.
Wow, very unusual. Now, for people who have never heard of BioWell, what is BioWell?
So the BioWell is an electromagnetic device. I will actually share. So it's a small technology, small device, and it started off as quite a big machine. And these machines over the years have evolved into smaller devices. And what it actually does, it measures the energy that is emitted from the fingers, and the fingers go placed in the device, and it takes a snapshot. What it's actually taking the snapshot of are the electromagnetic fields. So it's the photons that are emitted from the fingers. So it's quite important that we have clean hands and we have enough of the natural moisture in our fingers to be able to capture those images.
And when you're talking, it reminds me a bit of the old style Kirlian photography. Is there any relationship between those two things?
Absolutely. So Kirlian photography, it was actually the inspiration behind this technology, and there have been many iterations. So Kirlian photography from memory was really discovered in 1777. Lichtenberg, gentleman in Germany, and over many years, including Tesla, then went on 100 years later to notice that there was something going on that is emitted from the human body or live systems, like plants, etc. And there was something that was going on with the electrical field around these subjects. So that's evolved, and the Russians have done many studies over the years, and that then led through to Dr. Konstantin Korotkov actually devising a device that's history is from Kirlian photography, but he's managed to evolve it to the state where we can now visualize what those emissions are.
Yeah. Wow, that is absolutely amazing. I'm just going to read people a little bit of the summary that you sent me because I thought it was absolutely fascinating. So about the BioWell. So let's see, here we go. So the BioWell is an innovative technology that helps us understand the subtle energy levels within the body by measuring the photons, which you've just been saying. And I love the bit about bridging the ancient and the ancient wisdom and the modern. Backed by over 20 years of scientific research, quick, non-invasive, as you've just seen, you just put your finger in there, fast, reliable visual assessment. And one of those things, I would say, whether somebody's on their healing journey or they're just curious, it's absolutely brilliant for that. And I am just so looking forward. I'm so looking forward to this. So in terms of giving people a sense of, you mentioned you had a few case studies. I'd love for you just to talk a little bit about that, just to give people a sense of, what might be involved and kind of get a bit of an insight.
Sure. Okay. So essentially, we have like allopathic medicine, which we're all very aware of. So that's the pharmaceuticals and the technologies that work with helping to place people in a better health state, dependent upon their disease or their illness. But the key thing about the BioWell, it's really about your journey to wellness and how we can measure that over time, which is the crucial part. So what we essentially want to do when we're measuring like 5 states of the person. So we're measuring their mental state, their psycho-emotional states. We're measuring whether they have the right nutrition within their physical bodies, whether they have enough movement within their life, and whether they have enough sleep. And then the last parameter we also look at is how their environment is affecting them. So those are the 5 key things that we're really looking at. And so within those states, we can see what is actually happening within a person's energy field. And we do not call it an aura, we do call it an electromagnetic field. And each of these sectors are determined by each of the individual fingers. And that has come from the Chinese traditional medicine. And so what we can establish is what finger is connected to which organ and which meridian. And then that's how we then establish what's happening in each of the sectors. So we can go from specific organ, like the liver or the kidney, right through to a whole system. So the endocrine system or the respiratory system. So here we had a client a few years back, and this was one of the most amazing, for me, case studies that we ever worked on. It was a gentleman who walked into my crystal boutique, and you could instantly see there was something that was not quite right with this gentleman. The way that he walked in, we knew something wasn't quite there. And so he walked up and he said he was going through some issues. And so we recommended at that time that he undertake a series of kinesiology, which is health kinesiology treatments. It's an energy treatment, works with the body, muscle testing. And so he agreed. And we also agreed to measure him over the period of time. So we gave it 6 weeks. So the before picture is the first image of when he walked into the store. And you can see it's got quite a lot of depletion. So what is representing there is quite a lot of low energy levels. And you've also got these like bursts of energy on the left-hand picture, which is also kind of just spiking at the top there. And then on the right picture, the right hand side before picture, we've also got a spike around the head space there. So all of those areas are really connected to the head, eyes, ears, and cerebral zones. So there was definitely something going along there, but we had to look a little bit deeper. So our kinesiologist worked with this gentleman over the 6 weeks. And I never forget when he walked in on that 6th week, and the way he walked through the door was so distinctly different. It's like, wow, this is a different person. Walked in with confidence, head up, straight posture, and like this was a man on a mission. It was amazing. And so he continued with his last and his 6th kinesiology appointment. And then if you wouldn't mind moving to the chakras.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So this was the before pictures of where he was mentally and emotionally on that first day. And then these are his chakras after. So this was the 6th and the last session, whereby his energy centers were full. They were centered, and his body spoke that this was going on. So yes, we kind of expected it, but we were still shocked to see it in vision on our computers. It's like, wow, there's something that's definitely shifted here. And so this is just a small example of how we can measure. So this is not a treatment device. It's about measuring where you are in your state, fundamentally. Yeah.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And with regards to this, so what was in a nutshell, what was the treatment protocol in between those 6 weeks to get him into this place that we're now seeing he's in alignment?
Sure. So there's a series of protocols. So with health kinesiology, the practitioner will place specific vials that might represent allergens, or they might represent different aspects of consciousness or foods, for example, like peanuts and things. So sometimes the treatment on that day was enough, but sometimes he may be given things that need to be done, for example, to get specific vitamins or to work with specific oils, aromatherapy oils, really like high level therapeutic oils. And then there was other occasions where it was just simply water, like good quality water, and grounding, which was also very important. So they were determined by what came up in each session.
That is absolutely fantastic. And so one of my plans, and actually let me just put this one up so people can get a sense of what I'm talking about. One of my plans for the Health Activation Day, which is you're going to be bringing the BioWell along with us, is to do a bit of combining. So the square box on I'm looking at it, is on my left with the black square in the middle. That's a frequency generator. So my plan is, once you've done the BioWell scan, is we look at what that's, you tell us what that's kind of telling us for that particular person. I will then, because there's 60,000 different frequencies. So we'll then, it is wow, when you look, you're like, oh gosh, it is amazing. So my plan is then we look at the frequencies. I program those in. I'm going to bring the plasma tube. You can see the ball there, but I'm going to bring the plasma tube along, and the tube will then transmit those frequencies to that particular person. So let's just say you said, Marilyn, the heart chakra for this particular person, there are frequencies in there for the heart chakra. If you said eyesight, there are frequencies in there for eyesight. Do you know what I mean? If you said muscles and joints, there are frequencies for muscles and joints. And so I'm going to, on the day, program those frequencies in. The person will just sit within 6 feet of the plasma tube and transmit those frequencies. And you actually can't see it now. It's not a shame, but it is a shame. But my arm was really swollen. What day is it today? Friday. So on Wednesday, my arm was swollen up, my leg was swollen, my ankle was swollen, because I got the weirdest mosquito bites in Florida. I got back 2 days ago. I haven't had bites like that for 40 years, when I was in a place that had dirty well water. And Florida, West Palm Beach, is pristine. I think you could probably eat off the floor, because they jet wash it every night. I'm not even kidding. It's so clean. So I've never had bites like this before. Everything's swollen, misshapen. I did put some pictures on social media. So I thought, hold on a minute, because I went and got some topical stuff and some old-fashioned witch hazel and some aromatherapy oils. And then I got home and I thought, well, I've got this frequency generator sitting here. Why don't I just create a frequency program? And the itching was like fire. So I create the frequency program, get the plasma tube, and it just sort of flashes and emits the whatever the frequencies are. Within 2 hours, the itching had stopped. And I was like, well, this is interesting. So I set it to run, there were 2 4-hour programs. So I left the final one to run while I was asleep. When I woke up, the swelling had gone, the itching had gone. My arm was literally like misshapen. You can't even tell now that you can barely tell that I had a bite there. And this was in 8 hours. So I'm thinking, when you do the BioWell, this is very exciting. Oh my goodness. I am really excited about this, because we're going to be able to see what's happening before, work with the frequencies, and then see what's happened after, like instantly. Wow. Okay. And that little water bottle that you can see, that's a hydrogen water bottle. Because last time I ran one last year. I brought some distilled water, and then we made structured water in the room. So people, like you said, good quality water. So we should be able to commit on that. And then in the center, above that yellow T-bone thing, that little device, it's brand new, so it only came out a few months ago, and that can be pre-programmed with up to 100 different frequencies, and then you just keep it in the hand or put it on the desk, and that creates a 3-foot radius. So my thinking is we might do a bit of an experiment with that as well. Let's just say there's one for immune boost, for example, or the spleen and the heart system, whatever it is. And so we can give the person that just to sit with for 45 minutes, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to do a bit of experimenting.
Yeah, absolutely.
What
as you say that, so like I mentioned, my initial kind of really interest in the biowell began because of my background in interiors and architecture. And I met Dr. Konstantin Korotkov 15 years ago, and they were showcasing the biowell. And one of the gentlemen, he walked to the back and he had what was called the Sputnik.
Oh, yes.
And the Sputnik actually reads the energy of the space in the room. And so I'd really love to bring this along as well. We won't be able to use it whilst we're taking measurements with our clients, but we can measure the room before, or we can measure maybe during the middle of the day and then afterwards, because then we can really pick up on what's happened, because we affect the environment as well, and the environment affects us too. So we can really go right across the board of it, from environmental to internal environment. So yeah. Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I first saw that Sputnik when where I met Konstantin. I'm the host and MC for something called the TCCHE, the Conference for Consciousness and Human Evolution. And Dr. Konstantin was one of the speakers. So he actually brought the Sputnik along, and he was measuring the frequency of the room throughout the day. And he had a team, head down with the computer doing all this. So yeah. Seriously, I'm excited. For those who have never heard of Konstantin Korotkov, he's been a scientist for over 40 years, 40. Has written numerous books, I think over 400 papers. He is very impressive. Hold on, let me just pull something up just to make sure. Let me just pull that up. So let's see. Dr. Konstantin Korotkov has been a leading researcher for more than 40 years, applying rigorous scientific methods. He has an insatiable curiosity about potentials of the soul. He's the author of over 10 books translated into English, German, French, Italian, and Spanish, including Life After Life and Experiences and Ideas about Changes After Death. He's also written Aura and Consciousness, A New Phase in Scientific Understanding, and his scientific brand Electrophon camera goes beyond Kirlian photography and is used directly to view and measure the field of human energy in real time. It's based on GDV, gas discharge visualization, and Dr. Korotkov states that without understanding energy and without understanding the human spirit, we cannot even get a true understanding of the planet. We have many types of energies on the planet, and we can measure them with instruments. In ancient materials, many levels of energy fields are listed. And from a physical point of view, these are actually frequencies, and that's how we emit light. And he is the deputy director of the Federal Institute for Physical Education in St. Petersburg. And he is a professor in computing and biophysics at the University of Information Technology, Mechanics and Optics in St. Petersburg. That's a tiny thin slice about the main kind of device.
Amazing. He has patents, and he has written so many papers in journals. So the work, his body of work is phenomenal. Truly. And what I also wanted to share was that his studies cross the board. So they've studied athletes, people who have psychosis. They've measured the pyramids. They've measured sacred spaces all around. And that's really where I want my work to start to go. So if we can now begin to measure these energies, because we understand, and I'm sure you're on the same mindset, it starts from that level first before it becomes concretized in disease in the body. It starts in the energy fields first, before it then filters down into the physical. So if we can start to capture where the distortions are in those fields, and just continually measure ourselves or check ourselves. And we can get to the point where we become intuitive and we can sense ourselves what needs to be, where we need, to boost our energies or support our energies. But if something like this could become more mainstream, people can understand really what's happening in their fields beforehand to start to take proactive steps in rectifying those before they become chronic, let's say.
That's amazing. And so just in terms of people watching this who are thinking they might want to come to the Health Activation Day, please do come. It is very unique. It's going to be amazing. I know that already. Ran it last year. It was mind-blowing. Can you just talk us through? So somebody walks through the door, says, "Hi, Anne-Marie, I'd like to do a bioscan." Am I right in thinking this can be done in less than 10 minutes for the initial?
For the reading? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the reading takes less than 10 minutes. If we get good captures, it's like 5 minutes. But what we do is we just want people to settle first, because they may come in, like going into the doctors, might be a little bit flustered. So we ask you to just kind of sit, and we take the measurements. I try not to interact with the person too much before that. After I've taken the measurements, then have a conversation. And it's a conversation about what is happening in your life. And from there, you begin to understand the energetic imprints that in their lifestyle and life state, what they're currently experiencing is impacting their energy levels. And I think this is what really blows people's minds, is that, they had an argument in the morning, and they've come in, and the places in their heads depleted or hearts depleted, and then they will come in and we'll have a conversation. I say, well, what's going on here? And I say, well, okay, I did have this argument. I said, well, this could be the reason why you're experiencing XYZ in your heart area, and it's affecting your kidneys, or it's affecting other aspects of your body. And they'll say, oh yeah, well, I did get a tinge in the pain in the back and things like that. And it just has an effect on the body that we just ignore. But what we're not realizing is that our everyday interactions are impacting the energy within our field, which is impacting our bodies, impacting our emotions. And so when people see this and they see what's happening in their life in relation to what's on the screen, they're quite blown away sometimes. And it blows me away, truly. So we can, just become more aware and more conscious of our interactions with people and life, and say, okay, next time that happens, there's a potential this can affect me energetically. And it's not just an emotion that I'm just going to get over. It's actually impacting my physical being. Yeah.
That's absolutely, that's fascinating. And so with regards to this, do people get that the images that I showed earlier, do people get that as something that is printed out and taken away? How does that work?
They do. They actually get a report. So there's a report that is automatically generated, and it itemizes what's happening with the chakras. It gives a breakdown of the chakras. It also shows you what's happening, the overall energy field that we saw earlier. And we also go into more detail. So they go into the organs and the systems, and that's a much more detailed report and visual that is also sent directly in the report. And then I may add some notes. I can add notes in there as well. So if a person needs to see a particular practitioner, then that recommendation may go in there. What I just want to say is that this is not a medical device, and I'm not a doctor, and most of the practitioners who use the BioWell aren't actually doctors, but as therapists, we can say to you, this area of your body or life needs attention. So whether you want to go to a homeopathist or your Reiki energy master, or you actually need to go to the doctors, then it's recommendations based on what's seen on the screen.
That is fantastic. And of course, I will do some Huna in the room as well. This will be interesting to kind of get a sense of that also. No, that is absolutely amazing. And so with regards to you said you started 11 years ago, and you also mentioned crystals. So today I just happened to be wearing labradorite. It's one of the crystals that I absolutely love. Have you found that crystals can change the energy field? Have you done any measurements with crystals? I'd love to hear you say a little bit more about that.
Yes, I have. So crystals are amazing. And so I've done a number of studies where I've had clients with before and afters, with crystals, without crystals. And what I came to understand very early about crystals and the human state was that the human state can get out of sync very, very quickly. Like we can walk into a room and a gust of air could just throw us out of state. However, crystals are amazing at bringing us back into coherence. They have so much coherence. They help to remind the body of its coherence. So you see that in the readings, the coherence that returns to the person. And they can also take the crystal so to continue to remind them of that coherence. It's amazing. Yeah. And just to add, we've also worked with mobile phones. So I've done studies with holding the mobile phone, receiving a phone call, and that just has thrown the energy fields out radically. Like I've seen massive spurts of energy that's really shifted. But then we've also undertaken a practice whereby you're conscious of your state and you bring your own state. So you can be holding the phone and you're just holding your own state, and you've already brought your own state back into harmony. So yes, these things can throw us out, but we also have the power to bring it back into harmony ourselves. But yeah, the crystals, they're phenomenal. Yeah.
Wow, that is absolutely fun. And you're saying, I'm like, oh, it's right here. But so I'm like,
yeah.
Hold on. Oh my God. 1 sec. One,
no problem.
2. Oh, this.
Oh, what is that? The smoky quartz.
It's the same stone. It's labradorite.
Oh, labradorite. I love that because that works with the entire system. Amazing. And you've got a big picture.
It sits
right under your chair. Okay.
Yeah, so it's right at the bottom. There's a big ball behind me as well. But it's just one of the ones I absolutely love. Of course, I was into crystals for many, many years. So I have them, some for aesthetics, as a present from a friend.
Yeah.
But I just love them. And people who say, do they work? And I'm like, lovely.
They do. They absolutely do. And we can show you. We can show you. So you're welcome to bring your crystals along, and you can see what happens in the changes. Yeah,
that is amazing. And it's also reminded me, because with the Huna, we just start with the hard breathing, and I know from doing a real-time experiment myself that the hard breathing brings us into coherence as well, like you would do with heart math. So maybe before people, they do their reading, etc. So we do some hard breathing, just kind of have the body relax. It's going to be really interesting just to see the impact and how that changes for people. That is absolutely fantastic. So Anne-Marie, do you see clients as well with this, or are you using it mainly now for the consultancy, the way that you work with space, etc.?
So both. So I had stopped my crystal therapy for a little while, for a year or two, but now it started back again. So the plan is to start to bring the BioWell back in and start measuring before and after with clients, and working with those spaces, because I'm also starting to create those sacred spaces. And so that's quite an exciting new pathway that I'm finally beginning to take action on. So it's been a long time coming. A lot of studies gone into that. So yeah, watch this space.
Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited. And also, just to say, for those of you who are joining us for the Health Activation Day, Anne-Marie has offered just to come in and do this because she's just excited about it. So there's nothing extra for you to pay when you come along. So long as you've booked on the day, I'll put it up there. It's, if you want, bit.ly. So www.bit.ly/health-activation-day. And think of it like a gym circuit to activate your health. The reason I said health activation, similar to Anne-Marie, I'm not making any healing claims. We're not doing any treatments. It's not, this isn't a medical day. This is a day to help bring your body back into alignment and activate it to do what it is naturally designed to do. So supporting your energy field from the inside out. Some of that is physical with the fascia and the block therapy. There's the yellow thing there for activating the vagus nerve, for example. And both of those, block therapy is 3 minutes, vagus nerve activation is 3 or 4 minutes. They're all very, very quick. The thing you can see there with the 30 on it, that's something you strap to your wrist. It's called the Wrist X. You can start to see results from that within 30 minutes. You just put it on. It's like a digital watch and you just kind of walk around with it. So all of these are very quick, but it's designed to help activate your body and support your body in terms of what it is naturally designed to do. And so when Anne-Marie said that, we're talking about this on another meeting, and she said, yeah, I've got this. I was like, oh my God, that sounds perfect. It could be an amazing way to have some before and after measurements. So Anne-Marie, anything else you want to say about the BioWell, about you and what you do? Anything we haven't covered, anything we haven't talked about yet? Please feel free to add that.
I really just want to say I'm looking at, all of what we're going to be combining and bringing together on this Health Activation Day. This, for me, I see is really the future of health. It's us taking charge before we have the onset of real chronic illness. And like I mentioned to you, we did a process. I took part in the process you did with the future self. And what came up for me was light technology. And I was like, oh my God, I have light technology. And light technology, I feel that really is the future. This whole taking charge, we can begin to see what's happening on the energetic and the subtle levels. And this for me is just super exciting. So yeah, I cannot wait. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Oh, I hadn't remembered about the future life progression piece. Yes, you're right, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
This is going to be good. And this, it's the future of health, optimal health.
I love it. And with everything that has been going on in the world, I think these things are really, really, really needed.
Yes.
Actually, you reminded me. Let me just see. I think because I created let me just see. Yes, I did. Because I was working on it last night, just to give you a visual, because I say I can't show you because it's all better now. Yeah. This is my, what you can see on the top, that's my ankle. Can you see the one where I've got the red circle around it?
Yeah.
How swollen it is.
Yeah.
So it was it got to a point where it's almost double the size with the bites on it. And I couldn't understand. On the way home from the airport, my sock kept slipping off. And I'm like, these are brand new. I bought these from Marks and Spencer's before I went away.
Yeah.
A week ago. And so when I finally looked, I was like, oh, that's why it keeps slipping off and falling off, because my ankle is so big, it can't fit around. And then when you can see that's me standing in the shower, and where I've circled where it's misshapen the calf, because that's that big lump there. The one that's a bit dim because it was dark and I had the light off, that is the plasma tube. Once I put the frequencies in for the insect bites, etc. And then the one on the far right was the next morning, where the ankles were both the same size again.
Okay. Wow. Amazing. And you know what? I can testify to this. I have allergic reactions to mosquito bites, and they take weeks. And they take weeks to go down. So that is amazing, truly.
It is. Because when I remember when I had that 40 years ago, I was in my teens, we went to spend the day with someone who lives up in the mountains, and they've got the old wells with the standing water, lots of dirty standing water. And I had bites that eventually started like that, and then they were filling with water and sort of thing.
That's what happens with me. Yeah.
And it took weeks. And when I came back, even it was like the mosquitoes were still with me, and I was like, whoa, I recognize this from before.
Left with scars and everything. So I really have to load up whenever I go away with the repellent.
So that was and literally I came back on Wednesday in real time. Today is Friday, and none of this is now in evidence. So
amazing.
So I'm thinking we'll do the same with the BioWell in terms of the frequencies that we create. But oh my God, I'm so excited.
Gosh, me too. Thank you.
So, given that you are now getting back into this, where can people find out more about you and your work? Is there a website, or are you just working on that at the moment?
There is a website. It's called alchemykey.me.
Alchemykey.me. I like that.
It's a bit of a mouthful, but it was the name that was given to me, so I'll share that story over time.
I love it. And of course, you know, and actually maybe I'll pull up a slide in a minute, just to, it's not loaded up, I could find one, I'm sure. But also, if you want any further information about anything I'm doing, you want to find out more about the Health Activation Day, if you're like, what did Anne-Marie say again? Then ping me an email, I'll send you the details. I'll put it somewhere around this video as well. But it's transformationstm.com. So it's www.trance, as in hypnotic trance, F for Freddy, FORMATIONS, TM.com. So transformationstm.com is where you can find out further information about all the things that are happening. And like yourself, it was an odd spelling with transformations, but that was the name that was delivered to me when I said, I need a name. And it was, you know, it was the image that came through was a water drop. And the name was Transformations, but with a very specific spelling. And that was in, I think it was January or February 2001. I was on my way to meet someone. They said, when we meet up, we need your company name because we need to include that in what we're doing. And I didn't have one. And I've been thinking about it for 2 or 3 weeks. Like, oh gosh, really? And then when I just let go and said, okay, by the time I get to the end of this tube line, because they were going to pick me up and drive me to their farmhouse where they lived, I said, I need a name. I need a name that really, you know, encompasses who I am and what I do. And it came through and said Transformations, but with a TRANCE. And I was like, that's it. And I got the water drop image already when I did a meditation, and it was like, oh, have the water drop because you're a catalyst. You do the thing with the 1-day breathing reception, and it ripples out. I'm not kidding you. It was either the next day or the day after. I went to something called Wenta. It's a business networking organization. And I'm in there, and the people who are members, they stand up and they like do a 90-second pitch. And somebody says, I do websites and stationery. Oh, no, she might have said I do stationery, but one of the two. And I went up and I said, oh, I'm thinking about business cards. And do you do this? She said, oh yeah, I do websites and stationery. I said, oh, and I've got this idea in my head for a water drop. And she said, oh, hold on a minute. She goes into her bag. She says, we're just changing our company logo. Do you want this? And she holds it up, and it's a water drop.
No.
And it was a deeper color than mine. So I said to her, I said, that's almost what I saw in my mind. Can you? She said, yeah, we can just adjust it and change it. So she made mine wider, deeper, changed the color, etc. But I'm not kidding. So when you said it's a name that was given to you, I love that.
It was absolutely given to me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was absolutely given to me, and I was given the key as well. So yeah, but it's lovely that we've got the alchemy, we've got the transformation. So that's all that's a nice energetic consciousness, I would say.
Absolutely, I think it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Me too.
So I'm going to pull this up just so that we have it for completeness. One of them, this is one I created earlier. So if people scan the QR code, you'll go to my Linktree page and you'll find information about all of the various things I do. So there's a link there for the block therapy. There isn't yet, but probably there will be if you want to find out about the frequency generators. There's a link to the website, and then that's the main website, transformationstm.com. So feel free to kind of scan that, just get yourself into alignment and coherence before you pick up the mobile phone. And then just use your camera. You can scan the QR code or go directly to the website, and you're going to find further information about all of this. When you land on the website, it's humongous. It's the same website that was built in 2001. It looks that way. So it's now a repository for all of the things that I do. But when you land, click the red Watch New button, a panel will slide out and you'll see further information. And I'll also add something about Anne-Marie to that Watch New panel as well. So you can go directly to her site and find out more. But yeah, if you want to join us for the Health Transformation Day, we would absolutely love to have you come along and join us. Anne-Marie will be there. And I'm sure everyone's going to want to do the BioWell. So I'm going to do it in the order in which people have booked to attend the workshop, just to be fair.
Sure.
And there's an option where people can come for the whole day, or they can come for 90 minutes. So they might not want to be there the whole day, but for people who want to do all the circuit and use all the equipment, you can be there all day. But I've got a couple of people who are going to do the drop-in as well. And so they're coming later on in the afternoon. But yeah, you can have the BioWell, scan, use the other equipment, do a closing scan, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens from there. So Anne-Marie, from you, anything else you want to say in closing?
I just want to say thank you. And I've said it so many times, but I am so excited. I feel this is really going to be quite an amazing day and a launch of something quite beautiful that's going to come together. It feels good. So thank you for inviting me.
And I'm just going to say thank you for offering to come along, because it is exciting, having seen the technology all those years ago with the TCCHE. I'm just like, wow. When you said BioWell, I'm like, hold on a minute. I recognise that. I recognise that. Actually, let me just see if I've got a picture of Konstantin in here. I might do. Did I interview him on that day?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm just trying to think.
This is the book that I purchased when I first met him.
Oh,
and he signed for me. So that's 2010. It was a really interesting year because it's the same year I met Amit Goswami as well. And yeah, I
love it. Let me just see. I don't think this is the one. Is this the one? No, I've got so many pictures in here of this event.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, it might be. Yes, this was it's Konstantin. Did I interview him? So we got Nassim Haramein, Dr.
Amit as well. How funny.
When you said Amit, I'm like, yes.
Hang on.
So Konstantin is the third along here.
Yes.
I don't think it's for people who don't know what he looks like. And we've got Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton there, Zolma Rayo, David Hamilton, Ulrika Granoga, Dr. Pilar. Seriously, it was just amazing. Dr. Jude Caravan. But yes, Curtis Child, but there's Amit Goswami. So when you said Amit, it's like, because this is an event that happened in London every year for 10 years. But in lockdown, they took it online. So I'm the MC for the London event.
Right.
And when it went online, then what we did, we almost did a recreation of the conference, but online. So I was interviewing all of the speakers, and Konstantin was one of the people that I interviewed, and Amit Goswami was one of those as well. Well, as you can see, all of them.
Yeah. Gosh, great thought leaders.
Amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. So they really are pioneers in the field. This event, the TCCHE, is about bridging science and spirituality. And I feel that what we are doing with the Health Activation Day, and what you're doing with BioWell, and what I'm doing with HUNA and all of the other modalities, is bridging the gap between the ancient and the new, because you've mentioned Tesla. Tesla is underpinning some of the things that I'm doing with the frequency work. Einstein with spooky action at a distance, hence the name of the frequency generator. So all of these things that are brilliantly coming together. And I've definitely seen an emerging shift and change, because I've been the MC of this event for, gosh, good, I don't know, 7-8 years, maybe longer. And I've seen the change also in terms of what people are talking about, how it's coming together. But frequency and light is a really big part of this particular conversation, and what these thought leaders, yourself included, are talking about and working on, etc. So we are living in really exciting times, and I think more than ever, taking our health and well-being into our own hands as well is really important.
Yes. Ditto. That's all I can say. Like, seriously, I cannot wait. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So I really look forward to meeting everyone who will be joining us, because we are pioneering a new era. So please come.
We are, and it's, of course, it's in person. I did the remote experiments last year, where I did everything remotely, and I, like yourself, I did the before and the afters. It was mind blowing. There was somebody who had osteoarthritis in their hip by day 3 of the remote experiment, which means they are wherever they live and I'm here where I live. They were walking up the stairs without using the handrail. They had less of a limp, and the pain had gone. And the following weekend, they went out with their grandchildren and they did the candy dance. Oh
my goodness! And you got the whole body moving in that one.
It's hop, skip, jump, turn. They sent me the video. If they hadn't told me, I wouldn't have been able to pick them out, because everybody was dancing in unison. And she said, Marilyn, I did the candy dance not once but twice, and second was to the fast jungle version. So she wasn't playing. Do you know what I mean? It was like, wow. And I was here doing everything remotely. I already know that with the HUNA stuff. I've been doing HUNA for 25 years, with the remote transmission. So I know they work. I can do something and someone in Australia will feel it and have the benefit of it. But playing with the frequencies, it was the first time I'd started to do that with the generators. So I thought, let me see what happens. And yeah, it was absolutely amazing. So I wrote that all up in a blog. I can share it somewhere under the video. But we really are, I'd say, going back to the future almost.
Yeah, back to the future.
The pioneers are already there. They've paved the way. They brought us the tech. It was superseded by, when people sort of say alternative medicine, I'm like, no. I believe it's the original medicine.
Me too.
It was our underpinnings. It was the foundations of everything. So I feel that people are really, many people are starting to really reconnect with that and find their footing. So I'm just super excited. Yeah. Thank you, Anne-Marie, for
Marilyn. I look forward to seeing you and everyone who's going to be joining us. Yeah, wonderful.
Wonderful. So yeah, get yourself down to Watford. It's 20 minutes on the train from London Euston. We're right in the centre of town, just in the vicinity of Marks and Spencer's, if you know Watford High Street. So it's really, really easy to get to. You out of the station, walk straight up Clarendon Road, turn right. It's about, I'm going to say 10-15 minute walk, depending on how quickly you walk, but right in the centre of town. We would love to have you come and join us for this spectacular day and come and get some insight into what your body, your health, your energy field is doing, so you're armed with some information that you can take away and put into practice in your own life. So we both look forward to seeing you there. Thank you again, Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Marilyn.